here in your aged boar. This is the first heat, entry number 30 here. Offers a lot of positives in terms. This one's actually going to win this heat. He's big in his forearm and his blade, one that's stout and heavy in his structure, one that bounces up from the side and still offers some frame and some grow to him, one that offers some muscle. When you think about a boar or herd boar from just a stout and rugged, this one fits the bill rather well. Entry 31 is going to be second in this class. One again that just that stoutness and ruggedness lands him in the second hole. Where he gets a disadvantage over the one that wins is I'd like to see this one just a shot more muscle and shape when you get right behind him, but one that you really have to admire for his fleshing ability and the amount of rib and shape that this one has there, but one that definitely offers some length and extension to be second in this class. And then we have entry 32, one that just comes in a little smaller, more moderate package. I'd like to balance this one up out of his skeleton. He gets a little softer there in his top and steeper out of his hip. You do admire his heaviness of structure, but one that just like to just change from a frame standpoint, give him a shot more elevation as well. And then 33 here, he's going to be fourth in this class, one that is presented extremely well and one that you have to admire for that heaviness of structure. Again, just comes a little smaller, more moderate package. He's carrying just a shot more condition. I'd like to see this one move just a little more comfortable off of his rear two when you get right behind him and get that one set in motion. Again, another one that has some fleshing ability and production. Here in 34, another one, he's tall at the point of the shoulder, one that is comfortable out of that shoulder. He is carrying a little more condition for me today in this particular drive. One, again, I'd like to see just move a little better off of those rear two, gets a little more uncoordinated there, but one that still has some elevation and he's tall at that point of shoulder, and definitely an advantage there. In 35, he's going to be fifth in this class. One that just comes to us a little heavier conditioned, one that also comes a little frailer in his overall foot and bone. I'd like to stouten this one up out of his forearm and that blade, give him a shot more just ruggedness to compare to the other boars in the class. One that has some shape and has some muscle down his top. Just need to give him a shot more stoutness, heaviness of bone. 36 comes in here. He's going to be third in this class and falls there just from a stoutness and ruggedness standpoint. He is super heavy boned and has got a big foot. He's stout in his blade and his forearm. No doubt I'd like to fix this one up in his knee and square him up there at the ground. But when that one gets out and goes, you have to admire him for how stout and rugged that this one is. I'd like to see that one come a little more packaged. Second heat of your age board class, entry number 37. This one's going to be second in the class and one that you have to admire for his length of extension up front. He's tall at the point of his shoulder. He's got a stout blade working into him. One that takes a good, comfortable stride off of those rear two out of that hip and that hind leg. One that just bounces up really nice from the side. One that you have to appreciate for that. Entry 38 comes in here just from a balance standpoint, needs to be fixed. We do admire him for his rib and his rib shape and his body, his center portion there, but just need to fix this guy up off either ends of his skeleton. Wants to break there behind his shoulder. If we could just fix that up from a balance standpoint, we could definitely move him up in this class. But a nice one that has some flesh and body working into him as well. Entry 39 comes in here, and one that we need to fix this guy's right there at his chest. He wants to come in just a little bit, but one that is stout in his bone and stout and rugged out of his blade. Gets a little steeper out of his hip. I'd like to just balance this one up off of both ends. I'd like to see him go a little truer and more comfortable out of those rear two, but one that still has some stoutness, one that still has some ruggedness. Just need to fix him off both ends of his skeleton. Entry 40 comes in here again, one that we just need to fix from a balance standpoint. Gets a little steeper out of his hip, gets a little flatter in terms of his rib and in that center portion of his body. One that does have a stout blade and a stout head. We just need to fix him off either ends of his skeleton to compete with the others in the class. Entry 41 here is going to win this particular class, one that puts a lot of good and a lot of positives together. He bounces up extremely well from the side, one that is tall at the point of the shoulder, one that takes a good, comfortable stride out of his rear leg, one that still has some shape. He's stout and rugged in terms of his blade and his width of chest, his head and his head carriage. One thing I'll just admire about this boar is just how comfortable and flexible he is off of both ends of a skeleton. Nice place to win this particular drive. And here, entry 42 is another one that he is stout and he is rugged. Big old blade and big forearm. He's got a big top. Where I just like to just change this one, he gets a little more condition for me compared to the one that wins this particular class. This one's going to be third today. Just like to see him come a little more comfortable off of those rear two. And entry 43, your last entry in this class, just need to see this one move better out of his hip. He comes in a smaller package, carrying a little more condition, a little more age here, but one that definitely you have to admire for his fleshing ability, his overall width and body. Just need to see this one go better off of both ends of his skeleton, compete with the ones in the class.
Here in your champion division drive for your aged boars, entry 30 here is going to win this particular drive. One that you have to admire for just how stout and rugged this one is. He's big and stout in his forearm and blade. He bounces extremely well from the side. One place I would like to fix this one is when he comes right at you, just square him up in his knee. But one that you definitely have to admire for how good this one's built from the side and tall to point of the shoulder, and yet still being stout and rugged. Entry 41 is going to be your reserve champion in this division. One, again, that you really have to admire for how stout and comfortable this one is when this one gets on the move. Takes a good, long, comfortable stride off of those rear two. He's stout and rugged in his forearm. Maybe just comes maybe a shot more condition. Would just like to maybe fix him there. But another one I think is a very high-quality boar. Congratulations to him for being reserved. And entry 31, one that comes in here is you have to admire from his length and extension up front. He's balanced from the side. He's tall to point of the shoulder. He's good and level out of his hip as he goes away. And from the side, one that's really good in terms of his flesh. Maybe comes a little frailer than the two above him in terms of his bone and foot, but one that offers a lot of positives as well. Congratulations, all those individuals in this particular drive.